early on is costing him just a little bit.
Although really, if Gretorp does kind of sit back and relax for a little while, he is once again going to get that economic advantage that we saw last game, simply because he's got that second orbital command very quickly and very clean. He didn't lose too many units. He did lose the SCVs, but now that he does have double the command centers, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. He is going to get those workers twice as fast. And now that he does have the starport up, could potentially, like we were talking about, drop siege tanks on that high ground, as the command center for Silver is just now on the way. So every second that goes by that this orbital command is up before his opponents, I mean, that is just more and more mules. Mules are worth around 300 minerals once you're able to summon them up. And of course, you get the scans, which help you with that map control. You make sure you don't walk into a siege tank line. And so I think that Gretorp's got to be feeling pretty good, as, I mean, even just killing those Reapers psychologically makes you feel good, man. So we'll see, though, as his command center is up. It's just going to come down to if he can prevent Silver from securing his natural for too long, which I don't think will be too much of an issue, although he is still behind in workers.
Silver here is throwing down a lot of barracks in his main. He's got 3 additional barracks going on to make a total of 5. So he is looking to go mass Marauders and Marines at this point. Really going to get as much kinds of units as he possibly can on the ground. A large infantry force and siege tanks in mass can deal with that quite easily. And luckily for Gretorp, he did just finish siege mode. He has siege tanks pumping out of his single factory. And I think right now Gretorp just wants to defend up. He just wants to bulk up his forces in the on his natural. He doesn't want to allow the enemy Terran to push forward. But Silver very soon is going to be pumping a ton of units out of all of these barracks, and that could be very deadly. He's just now starting to saturate that natural expansion, Silver is. So his economy is going to catch up and start to surpass Gretorp, or actually they're both around the same. Harvesters 34-34. So both players really relatively even at this point. Hard to tell who's coming out ahead right now.
Yep, as it does. This is kind of a weird situation because Gretorp still only has his 3 original production buildings, and he does have his expansion up as well. So it seems like he's going to be pumping workers very hard, and he should be throwing down more buildings soon. He does have an engineering bay on the way, and so it's just going to be a weird situation where Silver is opting to get a lot of units, and it's got to come down to that siege tank positioning. That's a lot of Marines, and a couple of siege tank shots will take those guys out no problem. But if the siege tanks unsiege at the wrong time, then that can be in a lot of trouble for Gretorp. So, I mean, the expansion for Silver is up. However, he has invested a lot of his money and teching time into getting a bunch of Marines. And he did try and do a drop a little bit earlier, but it really didn't do anything, as he was forced to back out there, which, again, just kind of shows that, hey, he's going to try and go for drop play. Apparently putting a turret on the high ground, and that didn't quite do anything, as there was vision of that. So now both players just sitting back, macroing up right now, and it does look like Gretorp's going to be going for that air control, as he does have 3 Vikings right now and not actually continuing to produce them there, although neither is Silver. So the air superiority is anyone's game right now. I just want to see if Silver can make this lower tier army work against these mass tanks.
What I'd really like to see from Silver right now is pumping out more Vikings. He really doesn't have much of air control whatsoever, whereas Gretorp, although he only has 2 Vikings, he's got a Banshee. And that makes a crucial difference because the Banshee can shoot at tanks all day long as there's no enemy Vikings to deal with. So I'd really like to see Silver possibly get some more Vikings to reinforce his army right now. He's got a ton of Marines. Marines just not that great against tanks. He could really use a lot more Marauders to help out and reinforce his army as well. Silver right now pounding away at the rocks at the gold expansion just to open up another possible avenue of income. So I really like that opening. He's also secured this area right here, right in front of the gold expansion as well as the natural. Another possibility would be getting a watchtower right here, not just the Zelnaga watchtower, but the sensor tower. If you can throw a sensor tower down, not a lot of Terran players use it, but sensor towers are so good, especially in TBT, because you can see in advance all the enemy units that are coming, and they give that plus extra range to all your forces.
I really do like to see aggressively placed sensor towers. Gretorp throwing down more of a defensive one, but that is going to prevent his base from getting dropped, which, I mean, that pays for itself right there. But like you said, if you can get your siege tanks set up with some missile turrets and some Marines, you can basically see the entire center of the map. And I really do like how Silver is taking this high yield. This is exactly what he needs to do to propel him, I think, into the lead. It's just going to come down to those siege tanks, man. If he can use his Marauders perfectly, then it's going to be a sweep, no problem. But if he runs into it at the wrong angle, he is just going to get blasted away. So it's really got to be up to Gretorp to be very monotonous in his positioning and to not be too aggressive here. He may actually be looking to secure his own high yield. However, as Silver goes unchecked here, which there's the scan right now, so the Gretorp knows exactly what's up. If this goes unchecked, it is a lot of trouble for Gretorp to deal with. So he may try and push out or may try and react and do something similar. Wow, there's actually going to be a sensor tower over on the left side. That's a definitely interesting position there. I don't know where the SCV is that's making it. He's definitely on the way. Oh, he's going to get intercepted. So just kidding. No sensor tower there. And Gretorp, though, trying to keep that map control. And he needs to do something about this high yield, though, which has completed. And here's the workers transferring right now.
All right, so right now Gretorp is just controlling his side of the map with tanks. Interesting to note, he hasn't tried to destroy the high yield yet, and right now it looks like there is a dropship just kind of chilling over the natural expansion of Gretorp, and Silver is going to control that. He's going to bring that in, but meanwhile at the center of the map there is an attack going on. Looks like Silver falling back with his bio army towards the mech army, so he doesn't want to deal with the mech, but he is dropping these forces, the bio infantry just behind the natural expansion, going to force all those SCVs to run away. That's a lot of lost crucial mining time, as he is not going to get any income whatsoever at that natural. Also taking out a supply depot, so Silver playing much better than he was last game. But here's the important thing. He's given up territory to Gretorp at the center. Now his gold, as well as possibly his natural, is compromised because Gretorp's got these tanks there, and tanks are so good. Looks like the Marauders are going to stim up. If the Marauders can snipe out all these tanks, then it could be bad for Gretorp, and there's a lot of Marauders there. The tanks from behind are doing so much damage. Even auto turrets getting thrown down, and it looks like Silver has just enough forces to eke out the win on the battlefield. That tank gets taken out as well, and Silver retains control of the area just outside his base, but some Vikings coming in, and this is really bad for Silver if he loses any of his dropships, but it looks like he has enough Marines to push that back. Gretorp now is on the back foot, and he's in a lot of trouble.
I cannot believe Silver was able to do that. Not only was he able to do a successful drop, save the medevac, and get out of there safely, he was also able to basically hold the center. So great play there by Silver. Awesome multitasking. Not only does he have the high yield advantage now, he also is expanding to the right side. And we could see another battle here. No, Silver realizes I have expanded right now. I do need to back up. Gretorp realizes he has the advantage, wants to stem and catch up. But now his army is definitely weaker there, as he did not accomplish a lot. But just look at that income tab right now. 2,000 minerals for Silver against the 1,400 for Gretorp. So I think that Gretorp was in a comfortable position earlier, but now he's really let that drop get to him, and he's trying to expand, it looks like, finally at this high yield, but there is an ever-looming medevac here full of units that just wants to kill these nice, juicy, and squishy SCVs.
Here's the problem for Gretorp right now. He's just opened up that rock to the gold. He should have done this way sooner when he had control of over the watchtower just outside his base, and he's really allowing himself to fall behind. Looks like another drop from Silver right behind the natural of Gretorp. A lot of Marines and Marauders taking out a couple of SCVs and then hightailing it out of there, getting back to the chopper right when the forces come back. Looks like a beautiful scan going to go down and catch the dropship out. Only a handful of Marines alive from that drop, but man, those guys should be promoted to the rank of general. They definitely did their honor and duty in the line of battle. And it looks like, you know what, Gretorp needs another expansion so badly right now. His main is nearly mined out. His natural is way oversaturated. Gretorp knows it. Silver's on almost 4 bases. That 4th base is morphing into a planetary fortress. Looks like we might see another massive battle here as Gretorp stems up. It's just a massive bio versus bio battle. War against war right here, and it looks like Silver might just barely come out ahead. Gretorp has more dropships, however, just by 1, but the Viking is pounding them away, and oh my goodness, I think Gretorp might just barely come out ahead. It is so hard to tell who's going to win this battle. The Viking is still taking out those dropships, and it looks like both players are going to just eat out their armies. Both of them going to sacrifice.
Wow, that was intense. That was 1 Marauder versus 1 Marauder, and they're like, what just happened? We should just be friends after that. That was absolutely intense, man. I'm getting nerd chills for sure. Now, it does look like Silver was able to macro up a little bit better during that, or he just lost, units that take up less supply like Marines. And at this point, though, both players have got to be really cautious because they know by the time they move out across the map that they would not have enough to take their opponent. However, there is a massive drop over here, even getting a siege tank, and got to be killing a lot of these supply depots. Definitely want to go for the one that has the supply drop on it as well. Got to be focusing down an army. It looks like Izzy got to get it. The Marines not going to quite finish that off in time. It could be repaired, although a lot of splash damage on these units before that tank did go down, and the armory is going to survive. I don't know if this one SCV, super lonely over here in the base. I don't know if he's going to repair that in time, as it only has 74 HP, although at the same time, there is some units going to try and run down here. This is not upgraded into a planetary fortress, so it could very well go down if Gretorp cannot react in time. There are still units, though, attacking him in the main base, so he could be crumbling under the pressure right now, and the battle is going to go into Silver's favor. I think that this expansion is going to have to lift off or he's going to lose a ton of SCVs.
Gretorp could not have afforded to lift off that gold expansion. That was his only truly saturated and mining base, and losing that right there could very well cost him the game. The Marauders are still alive, like you said, inside the main base of Gretorp, just pounding away. They did eventually take out that armory, and this is where Silver's economic advantage really starts to leap forward. He's on 4 bases, although only 3 are actually mining, and he's also, it's important to note that both players have +2/+2 upgrades, but man, Silver just has a larger army right now. Gretorp way oversaturated at the main. That is an overpopulated city right there of SCVs, and all of them actually coming out to fight to try to get those Marauders out of position, but Silver brilliantly lifting off his Marauders into the dropship and then elevatoring them to the ledge above, and more forces coming in for Silver. Could Silver take out Gretorp? He does indeed, and Gretorp GG's 1-1 in this Terran versus Terran best of 3.
That was an epic game. It was kind of funny how Gretorp was originally trying to go for those siege tanks, and it's all about the positioning against those Marauders, and he lost it, so he tried to switch it to Marine Marauder. That's basically what the armies were there at the end. Not a lot of Vikings for either player. There wasn't even enough Vikings to prevent the drops from happening on either side, and then it basically, Silver did have the upgrade advantage. It was a 3-3 there at the end for him, only 2-2 for Gretorp, so that definitely played a role in that epic battle where it came down to 1 versus 1, which just opened the front door wide open, let all those drops happen, killed a bunch of the supply depots, and even a lot of units. I think he broke even on the units that he killed in the base, so definitely great play by Silver. That's the Silver I know. That's the Silver I've cast before. So now it's going to game number 3. Pretty good game so far.
You know, I think that really hurt. I think that hurt Gretorp a lot when he did not secure his gold earlier. He just kind of let Silver go out of control macro. Secure 2 bases? Go ahead. I don't want to buy one. So he just let Silver go ahead, and man, that cost him the game. Unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, just because that battle was equal doesn't mean that both sides came out equal because of it. I mean, like you said, he was able to secure yet another expansion, and then both players had to macro up again. So great play by Silver. This is the kind of play you have to do to beat these top-tier players. And so we are just waiting for confirmation on which map he wants to play next. So we'll see if we can get a hold of him right there. And it'll be interesting to see what map he chooses, as, I mean, going into it, I would still say he technically has an advantage because Gretorp won the first game, lost the second one, which doesn't feel good, but then you get to choose the map that you're most comfortable on and take it from there. So we'll see if he chooses one, if he has a specific build in mind for that map to make something happen here, because that was very powerful play from Silver. So if he's being able to play at the same level as Gretorp, I mean, it could go either way. We've just seen both players have taken a game off of each other, and it just comes down to this one game on who advances and who drops down.
You know what, I'm really surprised that Gretorp just kind of stopped pumping out tanks. I really feel like he just never had enough tanks. If he had more tanks and air control, he could have really just started shelling those infantry away. They just obliterate them into just bloody piles on the ground. And, I mean, he had some tanks, but he didn't have air control. He let the Banshee kind of work its way around and snipe a couple of them. And in the end, it just came down to a mass, like, men versus men war, and he just didn't have enough forces to deal with it.
Yeah, with the upgrade advantage especially. Now, I do want to mention that Gretorp is actually, he just checked out the replay. That's what he was watching for the last couple minutes. All good players are going to check out the replay, see exactly what went wrong, because really there was no huge blunder in the early stages of the game. I mean, yeah, the Reapers did get some kills, but at the end of the day, that's not too uncommon, especially since he was able to get his tech up a lot faster. So he wanted to go into that replay, see exactly what happened there, and try and just come up with something, maybe learn a little bit about his play style, and see what he can throw at him in game number 3.
You know, a lot of times players will check out the replay not only for themselves to see how they could improve, but they'll also check their opponent. They want to see what timings their opponents went on, what their opponent was doing the entire time. And I think what he's going to see when he watches that replay is he's going to see that fast crushing of the rocks, getting that gold expansion, then getting that 4th expansion up. I think he's going to realize he didn't quite expand as fast as he possibly could have, and I think he's going to realize that he could have used a little bit more mech instead of just kind of degrading down to bio versus bio, where he doesn't have the advantage because obviously Silver had a much larger force the entire time.
Again, positioning is huge no matter what build you go in TVT, whether it's Siege Tank versus Siege Tank, Marauder and Marine versus Marauder and Marine, or a mix of both. I mean, it's just all about that positioning. And one thing Silver actually did that was really crucial when we had that really close battle, what Silver actually did was separate his army. I saw him break it apart 3 or 4 times. So he had an automatic concave on his opponent, and with the upgrade advantage on that, it definitely paid off for him. So I think he just now finished his replay, so we're going to see exactly what map he chooses. He has not confirmed which map he wants yet. So we will go ahead and see exactly what he says as he has just now exited his replay, but I can't wait for this. TBT, it kind of reminds me a little bit in some ways of Brood War, where